You're tuned into the It's Real podcast with your hosts, Kayla Kallander and Andrew and Yaggie. Each week, we'll talk about what happens behind the scenes working full-time in real estate and share with you real-life stories, our successes and failures as we work to help consumers and industry professionals reach their real estate and real-life goals. Here we go.
It's episode 77 of the It's Real podcast. I'm Kayla Kallander and I'm a mortgage lender.
I'm Andrew Yaggie. I'm a real estate agent.
Hello, Andy. How's it going?
Hey, Kayla. I'm doing really great. Just kind of sitting, looking outside my office window here. The sun is shining. The grass is green. It's beautiful.
Isn't it wild what a little sunshine and even 60 degrees does to you, let alone 80, 90 like we're going to see?
I know.
The magic. Yep. I hear you.
Yeah. What is going on in Kayla's world this week?
Well, exciting news, actually. I don't know if you know. Yeah, I think you know this. I added on to my team. We added on Haley Gross. She came from First Western Bank. I used to work with her and it was Blackridge Bank. And she started here in West Fargo on my team. And so we're getting her, acquainted with everybody, getting her up to speed. And we're just really excited to have just another member just helping our clients. So that's been fun. We've got, her team member coming down from Sioux Falls. So it's going to be a busy, good couple days here.
Good. I actually don't think I knew that you were adding to your team.
I'm sorry.
I don't think you told me.
I feel like I tell you everything. How did I miss that? My bad. Sorry. We're talking about all these other things. That's why.
I know. Well, I mean, there's a lot going on between business, life, and everything else. So I can't know all of the details. I'm looking at actually growing our team a little bit. I've been sitting and pondering it for a number of years. And this is year 5 in real estate. And, we built kind of from nothing and have built a really good business. And, I've kind of gone back and forth. We talk about successes and failures. We've had some great successes in business. We've made some great hires, but we've also made some not very great hires and have had some people that, we really thought, were going to be exceptional and help move us forward and partner with us. And in the end, it ended up not working great. So, sometimes it's easy to sit back, Kayla, and just kind of think, okay, I'm just going to kind of, remain small intentionally and really kind of, we already have a niche. I mean, we focus more on listings and marketing. We have the ability to auction properties. We do new developments, lakeshore, et cetera. But, as I've kind of been, studying some things and kind of learning from some others in our industry, in a sense, that's kind of a selfish move. Versus, really trying to really going out looking for those exceptional individuals, those exceptional partners. So, in fact, I had dinner last night with a good friend of mine and someone who's kind of excited about kind of a new chapter in life and real estate, really proactively working on getting licensed. And we're going to just kind of see where it goes, kind of discerning right now. Hey, could we partner with each other and could we help each other grow?
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that it's easy to say, you know what, I'll stay small. It's easier. And, who am I to grow and make more money and help more people? And I should just be okay with this because according to society and stats, I'm in the, top 1%. But it's like, I had someone say to me one time, you're doing a disservice by not reaching for more goals. Cause I'm like, I actually said it to him last winter. I said, I feel like I should stop listening to motivational books because it pushes me and it makes me want to do more. But I feel like, I should just be satisfied and happy. And he's like, you're doing your community a disservice. And I was like, wow. So that was kind of, very similar to your scenario.
One thing growing up, my dad always told me, he said, what, not everybody has the abilities, the knowledge, the skill, the resources that you do or that we do. And so, kind of like we read in the Bible where, are you going to take your talent and are you going to bury it or, are you going to go out and are you going to share it? Or are you going to multiply it? And I kind of think the same thing in life and even in business, like if you're able to instill in others, kind of your knowledge and help, raise the boat. I think it makes a lot of sense. In fact, I had, we're trying to hire right now for an intern for the summer, Kayla. We haven't had a lot of success. In fact, we've had nobody apply for it. We're just kind of looking for someone either college or high school, who may have some interest. And in fact, we've put it out on social media that, hey,
Oh,
we're looking for a summer intern,
yes.
looking for someone, just casual, about 15 hours a week, but someone looking to help
Mhm.
us, as we're in our busy season, but also, kind of working to help them grow. We haven't had anyone, so if anyone's watching out there and
Yeah,
knows anyone, it would have to be someone in the Fergus Falls area,
right,
just because we need someone in the physical office.
right.
But I did have a really great conversation the other day. There was a younger a high school senior that reached out and came and met with me. I've actually done real estate with his parents and have known his parents for quite some time. And, he's going out and kind of thinks sales or real estate could be a good career for him. So we were kind of discerning, hey, could an internship be good, or what are your plans? And he has someone else who's kind of in real estate who he sees as a mentor. And I think that's great, because I think
Mhm.
we all, need multiple mentors, in different areas of life and even within the same industry. But he's really, really dead set on, working with this one particular individual, which
Mhm.
that's totally fine. But, we kind of broke down and dissected some of his goals and talked about what he had interest in. And I said, well, I think you should think about it, and I mean, you could certainly learn from both of us, but I think you've got a lot more potential here to learn and to kind of get to
Mhm.
your goals. But Kayla, you can lead a horse to water, and it's up to
Mhm.
them to drink
Yeah,
from it.
it really is. It really is. And I think too, like, going back to your intern, I see so many people get out of high school and they're taking a gap year, or they're taking time, or they don't know what they want to do. And I see like the community of real estate, and I see the, opportunity. Like, how cool is it that you are offering that to somebody? Because I mean, if that was something that was offered when I was in high school, I mean, how cool. I mean, maybe it was and I didn't realize it, but I think that's an amazing opportunity. So if, I mean, anyone is listening, like, gosh, I'm surprised no one has yet, because that's
Right
awesome.
here, right
And
here. Call
love
us,
it.
email us, DM us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
love that.
I agree too, and I see it as more than just real estate, but really kind of entrepreneurship, because we're
Yeah,
involved in a lot of different things. Not only what I'll call at need real estate, helping people buy and sell, but also property management with rental properties, and investment properties that we have, agriculture, technology, aviation. So I think
yeah,
I had a really, really great kind of intern through the school a couple of years ago, and he asked so many great questions and was just so thirsty for knowledge. And I know that he's going to go far, and I still see his mom quite a bit, and we'll visit about him. But it's refreshing when you find someone who's young, who comes in, who has a lot of energy, and who really wants to do something. Because, boy, there are not a lot of kids that have that. And even as I look at the younger classes, I was talking to a third grade teacher one day, and I said, boy, these kids don't seem that motivated. She said, yeah, a lot of them just kind of barely want to do the minimum. And that's kind of sad.
And I think that's just kind of common these days. Is, I mean, Andy, you and I both, I'm guessing, like, I was 5 years old in the fields picking weeds, hoeing trees. Like, my summers were 6 a.m., get out and work, and then you can rinse off and then go in the pool, when our pool was like 12 inches deep.
Right.
But I mean, you grew up working on a farm and hard labor, and some of these kids are soft. I mean, you're seeing some of these coaches that are like told to like lay off, or it's like, no, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but a little tough love just kind of helps your work ethic, I think, down the line.
Just a different breed, Kayla.
Yeah, it is. And it's just kind of the nature of the beast. But I think that, when you find someone really good to work on your team, it's the whole delegate to elevate thing. When you can trust somebody, like going back to what you were talking about, like growing your team, like it's hard to grow unless you have someone that understands, your standards and has your same mentality. So I think that if you find that intern, though, you'll have to let me know, because that'll be a good
Yeah,
add to your team.
I certainly will. I think we will find that individual. We might just have to look a little bit harder, or have a few more conversations with people. But
Yeah.
I think that there's definitely someone out there. And
Yeah.
hey, we look at it as a great opportunity, again, to kind of share our knowledge, and everything we're doing too.
Yeah,
So
I love that. Let me know. I'll share it too.
I will. Kayla, what's going on in the world of mortgage this week? And
It's
I'm not necessarily even talking rates. Honestly, I don't care to talk about rates, because they're probably relatively about the same,
they're
right?
about the same. People aren't buying houses typically because of rates anyway. It's like that's just part of it, right? It's,
Right.
if you want to buy a house, you pay the rate. Like, we're seeing it pick up. We had, gosh, Andy, I'll be honest, I was in my head this weekend. I was like, I'm helping all these people get pre-approved. I'm running numbers. I mean, working for free, basically. I mean, that's the truth of it. And I'm
Mhm.
like, oh my gosh, these clients aren't converting. Are they nervous? Are they scared? What, they don't seem like. I was in my head this weekend at the lake, and quite literally, it was boom, 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 boom. We got 5 or 6 at this point as of today, accepted offers.
Awesome.
So, if someone is in the business and you're in your head and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm working, I'm showing houses, no one's, people will buy when they're ready, but it goes back to the education and helping them understand. So it's been busy. May is a busy month, but still seeing the non pre-approved buyers coming in, still seeing a lot of unprepared people. And again, I'll preach it till I'm blue in the face, but I just see the value and the opportunity people have when they just take their time. And this is the biggest purchase of their lives. When they take their time, I see the success versus the clients that are rushing in. I had a client today make an offer without a pre-approval letter and just applied. Literally, we were meeting in about 30 minutes. They made an offer and I'm like, I hope they're pre-approved. Like that's, they saw the house, they took the time. So I'm still seeing a little bit of that, Andy. I don't know if it's like that in your market, but in Fargo, I'm seeing a little bit of it.
Yeah. I feel like some agents kind of, they take advantage of you and your reputation potentially where, they maybe name drop and kind of say, hey, the client's getting pre-approved with Kayla Kallander. We're going to have a letter to you soon. And so I feel like you have a good reputation, but I feel like people are taking advantage of that. Am I
Yeah,
wrong?
I hadn't really thought of it until you said it just now, but yeah, I mean, I think people know my team is quick and we want to work to help people out. But I think we also have to stop and say people's lack of planning can't always become our emergency because there's other clients that are also, here. It's like, I'll be honest, I think some people think that lenders and realtors are just sitting and waiting, but the truth is we've got, stacked meetings with clients and we're helping other people. And by us putting others, because they haven't planned to the front, it's not fair to the other people that have waited. And so I think there is a little bit of that, for sure. But it's one of those things where we want to make sure when we give a letter, Andy, if you're the listing agent and you see my name on it, I don't want you to ever second guess my letter. But if we're rushing, that leaves opportunities for errors. And I have made errors before because we've rushed and it happens. So yeah, I think there's a little bit of that.
hmm Yeah, I think there is too. I hadn't thought about it either, but it just kind of popped into my head as you keep sharing these different stories
Mhm.
and exchanges that you have with different individuals. And again, I think why we're seeing more of it, Kayla, is I think the average agent is starving.
Yeah.
We talk about it often about on social media. And I'm really bad at social media. You're good at social
You're
media,
not
but there are
bad.
so many people that they build this fake life on social media that hey, everything's great. I mean,
Mhm.
I've been at some events and there are some agents out there that they play themselves off as like super agent, top 1%. And then I go look at the MLS and kind of go look up them as an agent, and it's like, wow, you've done like 5 deals.
Mhm.
Even
Mhm.
as I was talking mentors with this younger individual the other day, his mentor, who he wanted to learn from, who I'm sure is very experienced, good agent, broker, really well
Mhm.
connected in the community, in the last 16 months had like 9 deals to his name.
Mhm.
Um, and it's just it's super challenging out there. So again, back to
Yeah.
the point that I think there are a lot of agents that are just really hungry, and so they are showing a home to whomever they can,
Yeah.
and they're just hoping something will stick. Because I think financially, as we know, and as you talk about, a lot of people have a lot of consumer debt and they're just hoping to get lucky. But, again, when agents come and then they say, hey, we maybe didn't rate the best offer, or, maybe we went a little bit lower trying to buy something under asking price. And hey, we might have a home to sell. And hey, Kayla, what might you be able to do for us?
Yeah.
It's like, boy, are you supposed to pull a rabbit out of your hat? Or
I guess, and I think the too. I look back and I think you say agents might be hungry. Yeah, they are. I think lenders too. They're spitting out letters and hoping it sticks. I'm seeing that too. It's not just realtors. It's lenders too. And when I think about this, what's the saying? High tides raise all ships, raise all boats. It's like if we all can tell the client, hold up, take a step back. Let's have a buyer consult with your realtor, a buyer consult with your lender. If your lender's not willing to do it, peace out, Girl Scout, get to the next one. Someone that's going to talk to you. Like, let's just take take a beat. Let's take a day. It doesn't take hours and hours to talk to a lender or a realtor, but let's just have conversations. We as an industry, if we have standards that is what we do, then we are helping. That's for the service of the client. Otherwise, it's a disservice. They're emotional. They don't know what closing costs are. They don't know their programs. And here, I mean, Andy, there's thousands of options. There's also probably thousands of different options of what a client can list their house for, or do they do seller paid closing costs? And so if we as an industry can just, like I said, take a beat and talk to the client and make sure they're set up, I think all in all, like the whole idea of buying a house is scary. The whole, like, there's consumer data that says people would rather go to the dentist than talk to a lender, for Pete's sake. Like, if we can do that, think about the reputation of the industry. I feel like, sorry, see what you do. You get me going.
Speaking of the reputation of the industry, and you mentioned lenders and lenders being hungry too, I've got to share this. There's another mortgage broker who I would say is in your class, does a really good job. He's there are a number of agents that use him here in the area, and he's bringing a buyer for, one of the homes I have listed. And, we're friends on Facebook, so I see his posts and whatever, and I've got to share this. I've taken the names out, but he said, must be spring because business is heated up and so are the bad lender stories. Here's a sample from the last 3 days. Buyers got their closing disclosure, so their final numbers 3 days before closing with way higher fees than expected. When he priced it out, we were over $12,000 cheaper. Seriously. Buyer was told 1 day before closing it wasn't happening, which impacted 3 other closings. The kicker, the issues had been known for weeks. The A buyer wanted to start planning for next year because their lender friend told them they have to wait before using their VA loan again, and they don't. Ever wonder how many deals fall apart just because of bad lenders or bad agents, for that matter?
It's true. It's true. And here's the problem is the consumer doesn't know. They're told by their mom or dad to go use this lender. Their sister's hairdressers is an agent, and they don't know. And that's where I tell people, go to Google, go to Zillow, go read reviews, go ask around, go creep on their Facebook. What do they know? Because they just go with the first one. And they hope, they're like, I'm too lazy. And I think there's a happy medium. I've got clients that will shop the heck out of lenders by dollars. We're talking hundreds of dollars. And they go back and forth. And I'm like, just pick one. We're all pretty much the same. Who do you want to work with? It's
this one that was maybe $12,000 more.
Okay. In that case, come on. Like,
I have a lot more questions, which no doubt we won't get answered, but
yeah. Well, a lot of people say go shop around, but the consumer doesn't know what they're shopping for. They look at the bottom line. So it's likely this client had some type of lender credit or earnest money or something that was giving a credit at the time. Like, oh, you didn't put 10,000 in earnest money. You put 5,000. That's the difference. You know what I mean? Like there's something missing there. But anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. But, makes a difference.
We could talk business and everything all day long, and we frequently do, but I didn't prepare much. I don't think you really did much for this episode either. But I want to talk about two things, Kayla. First of all, I want to, I guess we kind of skipped over what's going on in life personally, and then I kind of want to talk about success and failure because I think that the conversation will resonate with a lot of people. But first, what have you been doing? I mean, we know you're hustling. We know you're spending half of your weekend trying to get people pre-approved that don't take the time, to get pre-approved when they should, and so on. And agents are just going and taking whoever to look at houses and write offers. But what have you been doing for you, or what have you been doing for fun?
Great question, Andy. Not a lot, to be honest with you. Like, I'm thinking of that.
Why not?
Literally, like it's crickets, right? Not a lot. I feel like one of my failures, toxic traits, character flaws, whatever you want to call it, is I haven't taken a lot of time for me. In fact, I was just thinking about this the other day, and I was listening to The Gap and the Gain. You know that book.
Oh, yeah.
The Gap and the Gain, they talk about like, what's your idea of success and what are some things that you've done for yourself? And you've said this before. You look at your calendar and it's full of appointments for others, like you said. And it's like, what am I doing for me? I will say, I haven't done it yet, but I have a birthday coming up and I've never really done a birthday party because by the end of the week or by the time it comes, I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I'm like, let's just get dinner. It's fine. But this year we're having a party. We're doing Derby style. It's going to be called Derby 8 because I'm going to be 38 and we're going to go to the lake, have some couples over and have a good time. And I think about it and I'm like, when was the last time I planned fun? Like, right, Andy? Like, I mean, you're right. And I haven't done a lot, but I think I need to change that because I'm guessing maybe you've done something fun. Like, tell me about you. Like, what have you done?
Well, I also, you talk about looking at my calendar, and I'm looking at it right now, and it's work, 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 appointment, potential, listing, some follow up, whatever, or doing things for other people, but not always a lot. I try, when we talk about agents and lenders who, the expectation is you're just always working. I've tried to set some boundaries in that, hey, pretty much after 7 p.m. Unless we're in the heat of the battle, I'm not working. I had an agent just the other night who, texted me after 9 p.m., with a showing request. And then at 7 a.m. was, well, hey, why isn't it confirmed yet? It's like, well, geez, no one's really working yet. It should be confirmed. It's late in the day. It'll be fine, but, go relax and spend time with your family. I haven't been good. I've been honestly prioritizing work. One of the things that I love about being self-employed, Kayla, is getting to kind of, plan my schedule. Although I've been finding myself, putting some of the kids' stuff on the back burners, like field trips or whatever, when it's like, hey, I can totally do this, but it's like, well, I might be busy, so I'm not going to do it. But I kind of reminded myself just this week, I went with Ella, my first grader. We went to a kind of a historical society museum in town. So I went and walked with her class, which we had kind of a lot of fun. It was a museum, so it was whatever, but it was something that, hey, it meant a lot to her. We haven't done a lot of fun events, but actually we just had, when you talk about gala season, we had our Catholic school in town, their big fundraiser, kind of a gala and auction dinner event. And so we just went, we had hosted a bunch of couples over kind of before. After, and it was kind of like a generational thing. So we kind of dressed up 50s theme and others dressed up other generations. And
I love that.
So we actually had a lot of fun doing that. And so, family stuff isn't bad in events, but other than that, it's like, hey, it dawned on me the other day that I'm not doing enough of what I love. Aviation, is one of the top things. And so yesterday, hey, I'm going to go out. We did some Young Eagle flights, gave airplane rides, to kids through one of the local area schools. And then I flew with, a friend of mine who's kind of trying to get a more advanced rating so he can now fly for hire. And so I kind of went with him and as a flight instructor helped him. And then Kayla, I think we talked about it a couple of years ago. I ended up buying into a float plane, an amphibious float plane with a friend of mine. So I have half of this. It's kind of like a flying boat. It's really kind of unique. It can land on the land and on water. But I took time yesterday and actually took it up flying. And this was out on the water, actually landing on an area lake, and actually took some time to go out and kind of just have fun for an hour and a half.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Was that open? It looked like
it's got a canopy, so you sit in it and then you open the doors, and so you can open it when you're on the water, just because otherwise, it can get a little hot, and it's kind of.
Oh my gosh, that is
hand out in the water.
Crazy. I'm a little nervous about flying. I fly and water. You need to take me up there and get rid of my fears because that is cool. That is awesome.
My wife says the same thing. She says I don't have any desire, and she's pretty sure that I'm going to die every time I go up on it. And it's a unique airplane, just how it's built. So it has some interesting tendencies, but it's also a very docile airplane.
Yeah.
If you know what you're doing, and it was, I did probably 50 water landings yesterday, and it was just so 50? Incredibly fun. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So what lakes were you on?
I was on a number of lakes, kind of over in the Ottertail Lake area. So I was on Ottertail and Dead Lake, Pickerel, then kind of Long Lake, which is right north. Yeah. I flew it over your lake a couple of years ago, if you recall.
Yeah, we were on the pontoon. I remember I don't know if you probably didn't see us, but I
Yeah,
remember.
no, I think I did, but this
Yeah,
summer for sure, Kayla, I'm coming to visit because
let's do it.
after this thing, it sat in the shop most of last summer. Some
Oh,
unfortunate maintenance issues that were extensive, but now we've got everything working well, and
I love that. And
yeah,
having fun. Maybe that's what we need to do is we need to say, well, let's make more time for fun and we'll document this and share with our audience that we actually did this. Like, let's do
I
it.
think so. I think we should. I think Kayla, before summer's over, I'm going to come pick you up, and we're going to go over to Zorba's or something, or Beach Bums on Otter Tail, or
Let's do it.
I think we will for
Let's
sure.
do it. And we'll do our podcast from the plane or Zorba's.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
Either way.
Kayla, one thing I want to talk about a little bit today is success and failure. Have you ever read Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad?
I have. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good one.
good book. So I still follow Robert. I'll listen to his podcasts, a lot of his online stuff. But I found this quote popped up the other day and it really resonated with me. If you failed, that means you're doing something. If you're doing something, you have a chance.
hmm
Tell me how you feel about that.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of people that play it safe and they're like, I don't want to take the chance because I'm afraid of the um the repercussions, the embarrassment. What if I fail? What if I fail? And one of the things someone said to me is, what's the absolute worst case that can happen? Like, work yourself back. And there's a YouTube video that we could even link here, but it's like taking the level of risk and working yourself back from that. I think there's a lot of people that just they see the absolute worst, or they think it's way worse than even the possible, and they just never take the chance. And I really do think that the people that are just trying, they're not winning every time. You might see on social media, like we talked about, that they sold a really amazing house or they achieved 75 hard, whatever it may be. But we're not always seeing the failure to get there. It's not like they just snap their fingers and they won one day. There's a lot of this in between that people don't see. And I think that social media does make it hard because we only see the highlight reels. I'm guilty of it. I don't put, wow, I had a really rough day, this sucked. Like, I don't put that on social. So a lot of people might look at my social and be like, oh, she's doing great, she's fine. But the reality is I failed more times than I've succeeded. It's true.
Mhm.
So that's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, no, I love that.
What
And
about
I,
you?
I, I agree 110%. Like I have a lot of people that come up to me and they say, wow, like you're really crushing it. I mean, boy, you're out there, you built a successful real estate team, you're flying, you've got a beautiful family, you're a talented musician. But what they don't see again is all the behind the scenes things that haven't worked out. They don't see, this past week where, back to back days, I lose out on a listing to another agent for, who knows, any number of reasons. They don't see, the issues that we're dealing with behind the scenes, on
Mhm,
deals, or the tongue lashing you may get from a client, and
mhm,
because of something that's totally beyond your control. They don't see
mhm,
what goes on, in your household, or
mhm.
all of the adversity, even along the way. Just especially I look at as I've been climbing the ladder a little bit, even in the aviation world, and jumping into some corporate aviation, and I'm competition, to a number of people, and a number of people who maybe they don't talk favorably about me, or try to cause problems just because, again, they're worried about competition. They don't
Yeah,
have that abundance mindset,
yeah,
Kate.
yeah. And it's easy to get in there. I'm guilty too. I was just talking to my friend, I'm not kidding you, last night, and I said, I feel like I'm doing good, I'm doing well, and then I'll look on Instagram, I'll see a lender in Texas starting her business of adding LOs, and she's building an office and all these things, and it's like, we have no idea what she's going through, what she went through to get there. We have no idea, like, is it profitable? Maybe she's got so much stress and anxiety because she's got a team now that she has to provide for. So I think it's just really easy to get in that mindset. And back to the gap and the gain, it's really easy to say, oh, like, look how far I have to go versus look how far I've come. And I think a lot of us, I mean, I'm so guilty of it. I get caught in the gap where I'm like, well, I know I've come this far, but I have so much further to go. And it's tough when you don't celebrate your successes,
Mhm.
and we need to do that more.
And I've talked about that in the past. as well as I'm a big fan of Dan Sullivan and those books and just every area of life. And, one of my biggest issues, and I know you're wired much the same, is like, it's like, okay, that's really great. Like, that I hit this milestone in business, or like in my case, hey, that I just got my typewriting in a jet. But, what can I do next?
Yeah.
And again, like you talk about not having birthday parties. I mean, I celebrate virtually nothing in life. Just ask my wife when it comes to birthdays and
Okay.
other things. But talking more seriously about personal successes, like I really don't. And and I also take for granted too, like how easy like things generally come to me just based on my drive and aptitude. There are a lot of things like we had hired an individual who was really fired up and was looking at even getting a real estate license, failed exams over and over and over again multiple times. And, I'm kind of sitting there thinking, how can you fail this much? I've never seen anything like it. But, again, that individual is different than me or different than you. And, and maybe for them, it was a gain. They were, working as hard as they can.
Yeah.
And we're working at getting there. But I think ultimately, again, back to the quote, Kayla, if you failed, it means you're doing something. If you're doing something, you have a chance. How would you, relate this to real estate and even those clients, that you may have or that I may have, or people that are watching this and just kind of thinking about their real estate goals and they feel like they don't have a shot?
I think that when it comes to when you say, if you failed, that means you're doing something. I think that if you're losing a deal, like you said, you lost a deal. I lost 2 deals this week. If you're losing, you're getting an at bat. I mean, you want to know what? That I had 2 realtors that referred 2 clients to me. That's a win. I had the opportunity to get in front of 2 clients this week. That's a win. Andy, I shared with you a text that I got from a client last night. He decided to go with another lender. Wasn't anything personal. He had known the lender and he just kind of felt, in my opinion, he just felt obligated to use her, and that's okay. And the text that he sent me was like, I'm so impressed by the way you run your business. I'm so impressed by how much you've reached out. At the end of the day, I didn't get the deal. I'm not getting paid. I'm not helping him. I'm not part of the journey. But you know what? When he thinks about someone that's buying a house, maybe I'll get the opportunity to help his friend maybe in a few months, or a family member. And I think it's really easy to focus on just the one piece of I didn't get the deal. And we have to remember, like, I wouldn't have even been able to lose a deal had I not had a realtor that thought so highly of me that she referred him. And I think it's just so easy to get in that gap mindset. And I have to stop and look and say, but look at all the people. I told this to my loan partner, Anna. I said, I know we lost a couple of deals this week and it sucks. It stings and it affects our numbers and it affects like our ego. And we know we're going to provide the best experience, but look at the 5, 6 clients that we're helping from the weekend. And so I would just say, like, what did you get out of it? What did you learn? Because sometimes I'm like, oh, I should have said something different. Or maybe if I would have, presented this differently or gotten him on the phone, I think we have to reflect and say, what could I have done better? And also it is what it is. Sometimes you're not going to be the right fit for someone and you have to let them. The let them theory by Mel Robbins, you got to really implement that sometimes, because you're going to focus on that. And what you focus on grows. That's true. And I'm going to sit and sulk. And so to those in the industry or those in any industry that are experiencing failure because you lost a deal or you didn't get a client or you didn't get the sale, what did you gain from it? Because there's always something. And the only way you lose is if you didn't learn something. So that's my take on the whole quote in general.
I love it. I love it. And I love that you brought up and reminded us of the let them theory, let them and let me. And you're right. This can be a very emotional, business, especially for people that, hey, I feel entitled, to that piece of business. And I learned a long time ago, and I think most people subconsciously know it too. Like, nobody owes you anything. Like, it's an honor, when someone wants to work with you, but you're not going to bat 1,000. Not everyone's going to work with you. And that's just kind of how life is. So, hey, let them go do whatever they would like. And hey, I'm going to move on, to the next opportunity or the next client, or, the next business venture or the next spec house, or, you look at everybody who has done something in history has failed,
Absolutely.
has come up short. Something hasn't worked out. But I look at, all of the education and the knowledge and the experience and the relationships along the way. It's really awesome.
Mhm.
So I even look at this quote, Kayla: if you fail, it means you're doing something. If you're doing something, you have a chance. So I know we're often really hard on other agents and individuals who go out and are showing homes without pre-approvals, and people that are, kind of hoping to get lucky in the process. But in a sense, if someone's going out and they're trying to reach their real estate goals, even if they're not pre-approved, does that kind of fall into this? Are they maybe doing something, or doesn't that apply here?
I don't know if it applies. I think I had a realtor the other day, and they're like, hey, they're rushing through. They want to see this house. Like, you haven't had time to talk to them. And the realtor said, you know what? Sometimes it's going to take them failing and realizing like they can't lowball every offer. They can't just go in and ask for the moon. Like, they might have to fail a few times for them to understand like this is what the market is. So I kind of apply it to that sense a little bit.
Mhm. Yeah. No,
But
I like that. I like that.
yeah.
I think that makes sense. And again, hey, I think again, I'm all about people trying to reach their goals and get out there and take shots. But yep, you're right. But I do wonder, some of it, like how good of advice are these agents also giving clients or even
Mhm.
lenders out there for that matter? Because
Mhm.
and certainly agents have the duty of loyalty, reasonable care accounting, among other things. But hey, it's our duty to basically do what the client asks of us, provided it's not illegal or unethical. So if they want to make that low offer, say, hey, that's
Mhm.
fine.
Right.
But it's also our duty to kind of, counsel them and say, you're not going to be successful, and here's why.
Mhm.
But just to really educate the client, because again, and I think I lost out, when you talk about failing, lost out on probably about $2.5 million worth of real estate with one client this year, just because they were upset with their prior agent who they fired. And he said, when I tell you to do something, are you going to do it? I said, well, hey, we have the duty of obedience, but I'm also not an order taker. If
Yeah.
you're looking for an order taker, like, I'm going to give you thoughtful advice and
Yeah.
thoughtful guidance based on the
Strategy.
market, based on any number of things. If you're looking for just an order taker, I'm not going to be it. And I think
Mhm.
that maybe sunk me, Kayla, but I don't
Mhm.
make any apologies. And I think it was worthwhile.
Well, and I think that the people that really like take your advice, they're going to value that. I just had a client last week. Another company said put 20% down and go this route, and his payment was lower with the 20% down. And I said, well, wait, what if we took the money and paid off all this high interest debt and did this? And he's like, why didn't the other lender recommend that? And I said, because you told them, I think I want to put 20% down. They're not taking the time to be strategic. And I think that's okay. There's some businesses are open 8 to 5. Some businesses run, certain ways. Same with lenders and realtors. But I think like we understand that the client really deserves value and time and advice and strategy. And if they're not willing to do that, then again, it's that let them. Like, that's okay. Like, there's someone
Mhm.
else that will be the order
Yeah.
taker for them, and that's okay.
Yeah. Right on. Well,
Amen.
Kayla, any final thoughts on this Robert Kiyosaki quote before we wrap up today?
All I can say is that everyone is failing out there. And even though it's not on their highlight reels, and even though you don't hear it, over a beer sometimes, we're all failing. And truthfully, we're all dealing with it. And I think once you kind of understand that, like, if you really had a one-on-one with people and they opened up, you would probably be like, oh wow, it's not just me. Like, that's kind of what I think about it. How about
Mhm.
you?
Yeah, no, I like that. I think, kind of the same thing. And again, I'm not good at social media, so I really don't post all that much. So, most people from social media, with the exception of seeing me everywhere when listing videos or whatever, probably don't think I exist outside of that. But I think, what I get from this, and maybe just a piece of advice for everyone, is get out there. Like, if you have a goal, if you have a dream, get out there and go after it. Whether you're looking at buying a home, whether you're looking at, hey, getting into a better rental property. I think of some of the clients that I've served, a single parent of a couple of kids, and just, hey, home ownership is just so out of reach, but really wanting something so bad, probably failing a little bit along the way, but ultimately getting out there, and conquering those goals. And again, even for clients who have maybe gone out and they've made, 4 or 5 offers, they're not getting the house, get out there, keep moving, keep trying. Hopefully you're adjusting, your angle of attack or kind of your approach, because, kind of doing the same thing and expecting, a different result is kind of insanity after a while. So, but yeah, just get out there and also, find good mentors, like go out, like if you really do want to accomplish something, make sure you're aligned with great people, or you're going out and, you're asking the opinion of multiple people that are going to help you get your goals.
I agree with that. And find friends that believe that too, because I mean, Andy, there's times I'll text you and I'm like, and you make me feel better. There's times I'll reach out to my friend and be like, what would you do? And when you've got people, like, we're easily influenced, right? And I think that having a good circle, and you hear it all the time, you're the average of the 5 people you're around. It's so true. Find people that support you, because otherwise you're going to, I think it's the whole temperature theory, I think is it Andy Frisella talks about, is you adjust your temperature to, what is it, the dial in the room. And it's like, if you're at 76, you're going to come down if the temperature is 72. And I think that a lot of us kind of breeze over that a little bit. And it's important who you surround yourself with.
For sure. Well, Kayla, I'm glad to be surrounded by a great co-host, or not surrounded, but sitting side by side, a great co-host like you, that not only have we been friends for a long time, but we're also both out there working, trying to help people find success. And so it's really fun, getting to do this with somebody like you.
Thank you. Well, and I have to give a shout out to you quick, because I tell some of my friends this, but we haven't told our audience, like, Andy, you are like the brains behind this all. You lead it, you organize it, you are filling Apple Notes, you are basically, you're the one that's behind the post when it goes out. So shout out to you, because I would not be on this podcast without you.
Well, Kayla, I couldn't do it without you either, but we could talk on and on and on. And like you say, yeah, we could probably talk for days on this, but I think we'll wrap up episode 77. So thanks for pouring your heart out, Kayla, and kind of sharing kind of your thoughts and knowledge and wisdom. And I hope you have a great rest of the week.
I will, if you will.
See ya.
Bye.